I started preparing this resource after my boards, and now that I have passed, I can confirm what worked for me and what did not. Remember that some information in this video is specific to the year that I took the exam, and things can change in the future. Also, I cannot legally disclose what was asked in the exam, so I won't be giving out any information that involves recalls from the exam itself. Starting off, do you want to hear the good news or the bad news? Personally, I'm an optimist, so I'll give you the good news first. This is a graphic from the American Board of Pathology's website. As you can see, the percentages of first-time test takers who passed is quite high. And that was not just a single data point. As this table makes it clear, this has been a trend for many years now. Moving on to useful resources. There are these are some of the top resources for preparing for the AP part. I've listed them in order of what I found the most useful to like moderately useful. I did Path Dojo. The format was similar to boards, but the material was not that high yield. I did not do Path Primer for AP at all because the questions were too long and eventually I did not find them to be high yield. For Osler and board reviews, you're gonna need friends. In the last 2 months before the boards, different places do board reviews. The best one that I found was Windy City Board Review from the Chicago Pathology Society. You pay $35 and you get 2 days of high-yield board reviews by faculty members in the Chicagoland area. Then I was told by a friend about Philly Pathology Society during a few reviews. They did one on HemePath, one on Cytopath, and another one on Coag. I did most of my CP, especially HemePath, also from Osler. I've been told that Lefkowitz book is not very helpful, but if you want to do it, you can do it. For CP, the highest yield book was Compendium by Mace. However, there are still many topics that were not covered by the book. I can conjecture that if you do the compendium really well, you will most likely pass the exam. Secondly, Path Primer was useful here. ASCP question bank was also very good, especially for practice just before the boards. Osler, as I mentioned, was nice, especially for HemePath, and I did micro from PathCast lectures. The Spitaling book is the same as Path Primer, so don't waste time just duplicating your efforts. These two books are your pillars for anatomic pathology preparation. Surgical Pathology Review is a very good primer on SurgPath. Read it in the last 6 to 8 months and especially look at the photos. Those are very high yield. Cyto Review has good MCQs and photos. There are other Cyto Review books as well. I mean, you can choose whichever you want. I did Fan. For Path Presenter, if you want to do high yield cases, to access those, you sign into pathpresenter.net. Once you are there, go to the high yield cases on the left side panel, the one that I've highlighted in this photo. And once you click on that, you will land on this page. In this page, you have to select the option, the bottom left option, which is highlighted, and that'll give you access to 155 high yield cases. Those are very good. And you can, other than those, you can also do organ by organ as shown on this particular page, and you could do those, though that's in addition to the 155, so you can do those. And the format for the slides in the boards is very similar to the digital slides that are on Path Presenter. To access ASCP's question bank, sign into ascp.org and this page will appear. Once you're here, click on the Education tab. And once you're there, go to My Courses and then click Employer Purchased CE. Once you're there, search for RQBs, which are Resident Question Banks. In every RQB, there are close to 200 questions. For one test, you get about 150 questions, and you have 2 hours to solve that. I did those in the week before the boards just to get in the habit of solving a lot of questions under pressure. So that was why I am a big fan of ASCP question banks. This is the best resource for CP. You need to read every word of it and you need to know it as well, except maybe the molecular chapter. You can add Osler knowledge to this and complement this with board reviews, but keep this as your baseline for CP. Boards love esoteric stuff, and you can't definitively prepare for that. So be ready for surprises. Do the tutorial beforehand and save time, and also do practice questions on the ABPath website. That'll give you a slightly better idea of what to expect on the exam. So on the exam day, I would say that you should divide your questions into three broad categories. Number one would be, I know this, I got this. So you are 95 to 100% sure that you know the answer to that. The second category is, I may be able to figure it out if I think a little more about that. So I would call it a 50-50 category. And the last one is like, I have never seen this thing before ever in my life. So divide this into those three, and then do the ones that you're sure about first, and then do the ones that you absolutely don't know about. You can take a guess about those. And then in the last, keep the ones that you can figure out and the calculations and stuff, keep them for the end so that you have time. And there's plenty of time, honestly, to do the exam. This is how I found it personally, and this is obviously a subjective opinion, and you may not agree with what this is. And you can, if you study hard enough, and if you are smarter than I am, which I'm sure you are, then you're probably gonna have more manageable stuff than I found. All right, just some board review questions. So what are these drawings and what is their interpretation? This is a helpful schematic to remember that. You see this on an esophageal smear. What stains are you gonna order? What if HSV1 and 2 are negative? This is a useful and super high yield chart that I saw on Twitter. Thank you for whoever posted that. I forget who did, but yeah, this is very high yield. What is the immunophenotype of these cells? The ones in the middle. What are the different peaks in protein and urine electrophoresis represent? And in which disorders you will see them high or low? It is important to know the order of the draw and which tube contains what fluid. Which hemoglobin variants moves where in citrate or cellulose agar? Remember, I mentioned that microorganisms are important in both AP and CP, so just because you're taking an AP exam doesn't mean that you have to forget about microorganisms. They're going to ask you a lot of those. So these are some photos from Dr. Sanjay Mukhopadhyay from Cleveland Clinic, and as his Twitter handle is down at the bottom. So what is the finding in this photo, and what is it made up of? What is the component? What makes it look like this? This is a photo from this wonderful hematology account on Twitter called Blood Academy. For the highlighted cells here, the ones in like staining brown, what is the immunohistochemical profile of these cells? Exposure to which chemical will cause this finding? I leave you two mantras for board prep and performance. Number one, prepare for the worst, hope for the best. Number two, it's a marathon, not a sprint, so be patient. Best of luck with your preparation, and I hope you pass your boards. Thank you very much.